You're right.
Yeah.
What did I hit?
The phone.
The gimbal.
No, the phone, I think. Eric, thank you so much for
Daniel,
joining us. Thanks for
thank
joining
you.
CEOwise.
My pleasure.
Now, you're a public speaker, you're an executive coach, but you also started BetterMan. Tell me what BetterMan is all about.
So the basic premise of BetterMan, right, is to be a better man by the end of the day compared to when you wake up this morning. So always pushing to be a little bit better. And it's always been a part of my journey. I've always wanted to be better. And at some point I thought, let me share that. Let me interview successful people. Let me hear what made them successful. So what can I learn from them in order to better myself. And I shared that. And at some point, guys just start rallying around the idea. I think a lot of us, when we talk, I want to be a better man. It's just such a natural part of our vocabulary. So people started rallying around it, and it grew into this community, which grew into events, which grew into me becoming more involved in coaching, and now doing a master's in business and executive coaching.
Okay.
Writing a daily email and falling in love. So there's just so many things that happen as a result of it. But at the end of the day, Better Man is a community of men who have said we want to do better in life.
Okay. And a spin-off of that has been the Apex Club.
Yes.
Which is now, you changed it to a League of Men. What is that about?
So pretty cool. Like the bigger the online community became, the more they said, listen, we want to meet offline. And it just became a cool add-on to Better Man, where we have the online community and we have the offline community, and guys can get together every month. So now, it used to be every now and then. Now we have a monthly event, which was Apex, then became League of Men. And really it's about how do we create a brotherhood where we can support each other, where we can network, but where we can also grow.
You say if we just put in 1% more effort in every single thing we'll do, that will compound, like compound interest, and we'll become a better person.
So one of the articles I wrote that really sparked this idea for me was the idea of accretion. And accretion is growth or increase through the gradual accumulation of additional layers. So fancy way of just saying that over time, we accumulate skills, abilities, resources, knowledge, and over time, we hit that critical mass that then leads to success. But it's difficult for people because it means they have to be patient. It means they have to play the long game and be okay with making a 1% change today and knowing that it's not going to reflect on the scoreboard straight away. You're going to make that change and it's going to suck. But tomorrow you'll make another change and then another one. And over time, you build up that momentum, and over time your actions become bigger. And over time your decisions have a bigger impact. But it starts with small. It starts with 1%.
Well, how do you think that a routine can benefit an entrepreneur?
Routine in my world is everything. I think it's the ultimate freedom in a lot of ways. Ultimately, the game for me is how do we raise our self-awareness, right? So how do we become more productive? How do we become more effective? And we can only do that by being more aware of who we are and what we are doing. So for me, a routine helps you to get your game and your head in the game. Specifically, a morning routine where you can wake up, do X, Y, and Z, and it gets you thinking about the day ahead. So when I talk about a routine, I like to see people journal or meditate, where they really spend time thinking about challenges they might be facing, but also doing a bit of a time warp. So where you think about what went well for me yesterday, what didn't go well for me yesterday, and then what is my day looking like today, and always just a reminder of where you are going. So creating what I call a space of solitude, where it's just you, no distractions, no one knocking on the door, no phone, no Facebook, just 30 minutes of you. And I was speaking to an entrepreneur yesterday, and this dude was just rattling like what he's doing and what he's trying to achieve. And I said to him, dude, stop. You need time alone every day because there's just so much happening that you never sequence it in your head. We have all these inputs and all these distractions. So we never really sit down and just sequence our thinking about everything that's happening around us. And I think having a routine enhances that. It helps you to say, cool, every day I'm going to spend time thinking about me.
You wrote about making good first impressions using the halo effect. What is the halo effect?
So the halo effect is when we see someone who looks good or presents himself well, and immediately, just based on that, we make a snap judgment that this must be a good person, right? So it really just comes back to the first impression that you make, and how can you make the absolute best first impression. And often I think in especially this age that we live in, where everyone is in personal branding, I really think we should be more careful of the way that we position ourselves online. Because your first impression of me wasn't what we have here today.
Exactly.
It was created online.
Yeah.
So you could use that halo effect in an online setting as well as offline.
How do people that are stuck in a job, that have an idea that they've been contemplating and thinking and working in their mind for, say, days, weeks, months, or even years, how do they get over the fear of change?
So the first thing is to realize that it's not a binary decision. You aren't either in corporate, or the alternative is that you go and be an entrepreneur. So the easy answer here is that you start small and you start on the side. So many big businesses have come from side hustles.
Yeah.
So that would be my answer to them, is that sure, it's scary to make a big change, so make a small change. And that small change could just be, when you get home, start spending an hour a day on doing that thing that you love. Start putting it out in the world. Start getting a bit of feedback on it. And as it grows and as you get more traction, who knows what it becomes. But people shouldn't feel like they need to make this big, monumental jump into something.
Yeah.
Just because that's a lot of the hero stories that we hear, is that they left everything behind and jumped into something, and like there was no turning back. There's a time for that, and there's a time for starting small and for doing something on the side until it becomes big.
Many entrepreneurs waste too much time and energy on things they can't control. But how do we change that mindset? Because it's not easy once you're in there.
The only way to change that mindset is to become aware of it first.
Okay.
So self-awareness is the name of the game. We have so much potential, but it only really gets realized when you know who you are and who you want to be. And when you realize who you are means, how do I deal with all the inputs that are coming my way? What am I really good at? What am I really bad at? Where should I be putting my effort and my energy? So if you are taking the time to really review your day and your thinking, and to challenge your assumptions and the beliefs that you have about the way that you go about the world, then I think you start realizing that, okay, wow, like I'm hoping for this outcome, but I realize that I'm not in control of it.
Okay.
But it's that awareness, and then it's repetition of that awareness, because a mindset doesn't just change. So it's constantly coming back to the fact that, okay, there are certain things that I can control, certain things that I can't control, and I need to know the difference between the two. But it's only if you can actually take time to realize that you have fallen into that trap where you are expecting an outcome, but you have no influence on that outcome. And you are going to be so disappointed every time, and you are going to hate the world if you keep hinging your happiness or your success on outcomes or on factors that you can't control.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.